Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back. Hope you are doing wonderful. And I am here to show you a rebuild. I have gutted my Exo Terra that I used to have my arboreal salamanders in, and then I also had a juvenile red salamander in. This is a terrarium, not a paludarium, so this is going to be fully land. And as you can see, it's a little scuffy. I've had this for a couple of years, but I wanted to repurpose it. I've already drilled, as you can see in the back, when I originally did this, and also have put some tint on the sides to make it just a little bit nicer looking. And so it's ready to go essentially from a drainage standpoint. Now I just have to get the initial structure in there so foam and other things can adhere to it, and this is just measuring some egg crate, which I usually put on the back and the sides, and then just using these wire snippers here. Next, you just measure and cut, as I mentioned, and you are going to use some silicone, which is pretty simple, and then we will move on. So I forgot to put a clamp there on the left side. You can see that sucks, but what are you gonna do? It's not an emergency, and we are good. I will start to foam things in and start on it, but that's what happens when you don't use a clamp. So I'm using a little bit of foam board here. As you can see, I cut a piece to prop up this piece of driftwood that I used in the previous enclosure. And what I'm really trying to do here, as you can see, is fill in all of these places with great stuff pond and stone where animals could go. Because unfortunately, I have had many animals get into places that I don't want them to. Even when I think I'm being very methodical about the process and filling things in, they still figure out ways to get in. So I'm really just trying to fill in any little holes or gaps between this egg crate light diffuser and the building materials, i.e. wood and foam and rocks, things like that. So just really want to take your time with this. I've never had an animal die because of that, but I've certainly had to rip things apart, which really is not fun, in order to get the animal out. Because maybe I thought it couldn't get out, or it just wasn't coming out for some reason, it wasn't eating. It's just the last thing you want. I mean, you want to be able to give them hiding spots because it's they need hides and things like that because it's just natural for them and zoologically accurate, but at the same time, you don't want them hiding like in a weird spot. So just be really cognizant of that when you build things out, especially if you have smaller animals, smaller amphibians, small frogs, small salamanders, small newts, whatever it is, you just got to be careful. And so I know I talked a little bit about that, but it's just really important. And by the way, I know this is a weird angle. I have it on a dolly on its side because it's easier to work this way versus having it vertical and needing to prop things up. So I just kind of flip it from side to side as I go. You're also going to want to have the foam cure and let it go for a while so the pieces get kind of foamed in and don't move. So as you can see here, I'm just adding some rocks here and there, try to build up a little bit of a rock wall, some more small pieces of driftwood from the enclosure, and then I'm also putting in a mixture of crushed leaf litter, cocoa fiber, and some bark chips to make it look realistic, like a side of a hill. Then I've also cut some of the foam. I'm spreading it out with a glove on, and just putting some more of this aforementioned mixture just to kind of give it more of a realistic look and give it some organic compounds versus just painting the foam. Some people do that. I've done that before. It's great, but I think this looks a little bit better. And here's as you can see, it's standing up now. This is just one of the sides, and you can see how it looks this way. There's a couple of spots that aren't perfect. I'll go back and fix, but as you can see, I've got some rocks and some other things. We'll be able to cut that foam back and stuff in some other sphagnum moss and other things, or maybe just add more of the mixture that I just discussed. So now I'm going to work on the main part of the background, which is usually the centerpiece, clearly, of these types of enclosures. And again, I'm just starting with the great stuff ponded stone, and I am just going to be placing these slate rocks, which are pretty heavy. It's just more of like a putting together a puzzle, but I want to have cracks in the rocks for the animals, whatever I eventually put in, to have spaces to hide. And so it's just essentially kind of, like I said, it's like playing Tetris. I've said that before. It's more of like just, I have an idea in my head, but as I go, I see how some rocks fit and what I think will look natural. And so that's kind of how I do it. And just kind of continue to fill out the background with foam, cork bark, wood, you know, whatever you really want, and just let your vision kind of come to life is really what it's all about. And this is kind of the result. I know I didn't show all of this, but you can see I put some driftwood there kind of hanging down, and I still need to do the right side, which I'll do here shortly, but this is kind of the rough background scape right now. I'm liking the way it looks. All right, so let's do the other side, which I have now, voila, done, except for the bottom right corner. And it looks pretty cool. You know, there's a couple spots here where you can see the foam clearly. And so I've scraped some of it off already with a razor blade. And I will fill that in with sphagnum moss and some other things to cover that up, as you can see under that rock and some other spots. And I will go ahead, and I also need to do the bottom right hand corner still, but I think you guys get the gist. Added some more cork bark there and some more of the mixture that I had mentioned before. And you can see underneath, you don't really need to worry about the covering up the acrate like diffuser underneath, because it's all going to be covered with substrate. And now I have gone ahead and done that little piece there, and I still have to do the rest. But I like this. I think it's pretty solid. I can see the, you know, when it's planted, that it will look really, really, really good. And I think that these types of taller terrariums typically do well if you cover part of the lid for humidity and things like moss and fern growth. So I know this is a short video, but I just wanted to show everyone how it doesn't really take much time to build a very customized, realistic looking vivarium for your animals, and just making sure that you are zoologically as accurate as possible for whatever species that you put in, or even just plants. Anyhow, I appreciate all of the support. So if you haven't, like, subscribe, comment, I really appreciate it. Stay tuned for some more content, and thank you all.